Lynn Snodgrass, the CEO of the Gresham Area Chamber of Commerce, and as I said, I'm really grateful that you're here. I want to acknowledge our sponsors and thank them very much for sponsoring. Umpqua Bank is a sponsor, Northwest Natural, Mountain Community College, and Dr. Scari is here representing the college, as she always is. Our stakeholder sponsor is Gresham Barlow School District and MetroEast Community Media. Keith, thank you. I know we're making you jump through hoops, and you have someplace to go at once, so we're going to make sure that everything's good. And this is recorded. The webinar is recorded and then it's rebroadcast. And there's a schedule. I think the schedule's ended up at Councilor Piazza's table. But grab a schedule. If you like what you hear and you think you missed something, then be sure and pick one of these up, or they'll be located at the chamber office as well. All right, I'd like to acknowledge the board members that are in the room because they're my bosses and I always like to do that. Northwest Enforcement, Karen Withrow. Karen is here, thank you, Karen. And Leslie Parker with Health Benefits 411. Leslie, thank you as well. Brian York, Clackamas County Bank is in the front row. Thank you, Brian. And Lisa Scari is a board member as well, one of our board members. We have two elected officials with us today, and one of those elected officials brought somebody that he's mentoring to become an elected official. Councilor Jerry Hinton's in the back row with his granddaughter. I'm assuming it's a granddaughter. Yeah, okay, and we're glad to have you and her. And Council President Sue Piazza is with us as well. Thank you, Councilor President. Okay, big round of applause for all of those people. We're grateful. Okay, the sounding here is good. The applause bounces back. It sounds really good. All right, so the Chamber works really hard to continue to bring you, our members, value. And the Business and Leaders Luncheons are one of those opportunities that we use to provide the value. Today is an important topic. It's a topic that can have a positive effect on your bottom line, a positive effect on your bottom line. That needs to be repeated for businesses, a positive effect on your bottom line. And at the same time have a positive effect on the environment, not just short term, but also a long term. Our guest today will present amazing opportunities to go green, yeah, and to save green, yeah, yeah. All right, with us today are Gregg Hayward, the City of Gresham's Director of Business Sustainability Program. Gregg has been with the city for 10 years, 12 years? 10 years. 10 years, your entire life since you got out of high school. Good job. And joining him today is Chris Walker of PGE. Chris is going to present, not next, but after that. Chris is, you may recognize him. He's at chamber events all the time when we have big vendor events. Chris is there. And also with us today is Energy Trust of Oregon, George Litsey. George is in the back, and he's the one that may bring paper next time. We'll see. We'll see. Each of them will give about a 15-minute presentation and share that with you. And then let's let all three of them make their presentation, and then we'll ask them questions afterwards to make sure that everybody has their opportune time. But don't not ask a question. If you have a question, write it down. If you have a memory like mine, you need to write it down, and then you can ask later. So, Gregg, you want to give it your presentation? Let's welcome Gregg. Let's go.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you to the Chamber for having us, and thank you for your own interest in this really important topic. We're going to talk about a lot of different things today that relate to sustainability and business, and I'm going to try to provide a context for the reasons why this is really important and how you have an ability to make quite a large impact in our community and pay it forward for the next generations here as well as ourselves. So I'll kind of be bringing everything into a larger context today. So we're going to go through the Gresham Green Business Program. I'm just going to kind of touch on that as a way that we can continue to work together on advancing sustainability with your business and how that ties into the larger Gresham Climate Action Plan that just passed in April. I think it's important to understand that sustainability, I think, exists on a spectrum, and that there's regardless of where you're at, you can plug in, and there's things that we can help you with that can help the overall spectrum continue to become more and more green. We'll talk about that through waste, which is my wheelhouse, but I'll be also pointing into other things that I can help you with as well. And then you'll get to learn from some existing green businesses, and then how you can bring these ideas home as well, which I think is really important. These ideas and concepts and the support that you get within the business community can be replicated at home very easily. These programs are mirrored at home as well. So, big news. This April, the City of Gresham, thank you councilors, passed its first climate action plan. And this is literally a decade in the making. And this climate action plan helps the city not only reduce emissions across the city, but also helps it become more resilient to a changing climate. Many of you remember the very, very extreme heat we had 2 years ago, also the ice storm that we had this past year. As the climate changes, we are going to experience more of these extremes, and so the more that we can be prepared, we can help prevent disasters from occurring. During the heat wave, we lost over 70 community members in Multnomah County, so this is pretty significant stuff that we have the ability to make an impact on within our own community. So lots of things up here, and I should mention each of you has a packet that kind of delves into more detail and then helps you connect in different ways. And if anything could happen from today that I would really appreciate is how you could help us amplify this message. So with a lot of this type of work, not only are you learning it, but then you also have the ability to tell somebody else the key things that you remember for it and maybe motivate them to want to participate as well. Because we've found that businesses look to one another in terms of where they want to go. So if one business is like, hey, this made sense, here's all the reasons why, here's how I did it, that's going to motivate other businesses and organizations to participate. But the Gresham Green Business Program provides all different types of assistance: energy, solid waste, transportation, intros into diversity, equity, and inclusion, and community engagement, water savings, emergency preparedness. And then there's so many benefits, from the cost savings, working with your employees to help with retention and development. More and more customers are looking for this in the businesses that they want to support. And then obviously the reduced emissions, and also efficiencies in the ways that you run your business. Many of you may have heard of like lean manufacturing and using those types of concepts. Those also reduce emissions and can help your business. So this plan, the Climate Action Plan, delves into a number of different areas where we can make an impact within our community, and I want to just kind of highlight a couple of them for you. This is all of the carbon emissions that the city generates. So they come from a number of different sectors. The magenta ones on the far right, those are all generated outside of the city of Gresham. So when we bring in goods and services that are not made here in Gresham, they have emissions with them. So those are all the magenta ones. And the other ones here are generated within our community. It's a little bit small, but what I would like you to see is that buildings and energy is the biggest one, followed by the goods that we bring into our community, and then transportation and industrial processes. And a lot of these things come from within not only the individual consumers, but also the businesses. And so businesses making changes is an amplification of the work, and it accelerates the work. So there's a lot of interest in really trying to work with our businesses, large and small, to help us continue to reduce emissions and become more resilient. So we've worked with a number of different folks to kind of get an ascertain of what the future looks like in different scenarios. So with if we weren't to do anything globally on climate emissions, the forecast is that basically the easiest way to remember it is that the Portland metro area will more likely resemble the Central Valley of California in terms of what the average temperatures are like, and also what the precipitation would be looking like. So more extreme downpours during the winter and then extended dry periods. We're going to see a reduction in snowpack, the snow levels moving further and further up the mountain. And what's interesting with that is as those move up the mountain, a big snowstorm that's low in elevation covers a lot of distance, and that has a lot of water spread over a large surface area. Even 200, 300 feet change in snow level makes that cone of where the snow falls smaller and smaller, and that impacts our streams, our reservoirs, all that kind of stuff. But by doing things with climate, we can have a reduction in the way that this transpires, and we can also be doing things that will help us be more resilient. So this is looking at globally if we take strong action versus doing nothing. So we are going to experience change even regardless of if we make strong actions. So it is very important that we become more resilient. So that was the stuff that might be a little bit heavy, and you might be being like, oh, what do I do now? I feel all these things. So I want to present this idea of what I call the spectrum of green. And some people will say it isn't easy being green. Other people might say it is easy being green. I bet you all have felt things like old Kermit here. And I want to just kind of provide you an example of myself. So I think within the environmental world, there is an idea that to be an environmentalist, you have to be having solar panels on your house, drive an electric vehicle, drink smoothies all the time, yada, 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 right? Well, here's me. And I'm an environmentalist, I would say. I imagine many of you are as well. There are things that I do that are on the spectrum of probably not so great for the environment, and then there are things that I do that are better for the environment. And I would like you to think about this in your life as well, because the more that we can be doing that shifts this spectrum to this greener side, the better. And it's looking at all your actions. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to do this one thing. It's like, how can I do all these little things a little bit differently? I love to travel. Where's Aaron? Love traveling. And traveling a lot of times uses a lot of carbon. I drive a truck. It's a gasoline truck. We waste things. We have a lot of stuff. I have 2 kids. We use a lot of water. But then moving this way, we garden, we recycle and compost. We try to buy local and organic when we can. I commute to work on public transit most of the time. We've had a housemate in the past. We practice reduce and reuse. We teach others. Amplification, can't say that enough. The amplification is how this work will happen. The more that we can get more people to participate, making small changes is how we make massive change happen. And then environmental action, saying like, you know what, the way we're doing it, we could do it better. Let's figure that out. Let's pass a climate action plan. Let's hold ourselves to a higher standard, and then where do we go from there? So let's just focus on waste. I like to say waste is kind of the gateway for a lot of people in the environmental sector. They're like, yeah, I want to recycle. I know how to do some of this sort of stuff. Well, we hope that you use that and do that, and then step into things that kind of continue to expand this work. So here's a couple of things that again puts into this sort of stuff in perspective. Take a look at all these different numbers: 4.4 pounds, 6.65, 3.59, 0.1 pounds. The first one is the average amount of trash is landfilled by a person in the United States every day, 4.4 pounds of garbage. The total waste the average Oregonian throws away, so that could be recycling, that could be composting, that could be your garbage, over 6 pounds. Now this is looking at per capita all waste generated. So yes, more is coming from our business sector than probably from the average person, but I think it's important to know on a per person basis what this looks like. The amount that is recycled or reclaimed is a little bit more than half across the state. But this is a big change from the way things were only a few hundred years ago. Native Americans, indigenous peoples within our area, basically wasted nothing, right? Animals were used to their fullest extent, and we thought about things in a really, really different way than we do now. So the challenge is like, how do we meet our current needs, but also do so in a way that thinks more holistically and helps us reduce our emissions and our waste. So this is the amount of waste generated in about 2 to 3 hours in Clark County, Washington. I did a bunch of work in Clark County in the past. And I think it's important to just sort of see what this stuff looks like. In here you'll see some things. There's some cardboard in here. It's hard to see what is in here that potentially could be recycled, but we know about 10 to 15, maybe even more than that, % of what we're seeing in some of these different types of waste streams is stuff that people simply threw away that could have potentially been recycled. And all this stuff, it's made up of natural resources. And these resources, some of them are renewable, so meaning that they're generated on a continuous basis, like your water, your wind. You could think about the seasonality of produce coming out of the ground. But then there's other things that take millions and millions of years to be generated. For example, fossil fuels and minerals and things like that. So it's important to understand that all the things that we use in our lives are made from natural resources, and the more that we can be thinking about how we're using and buying things, the better that we can be doing about taking care of these important natural resources that we live upon. People are often interested in where their waste goes, similar to like, where does my power come from? How does all this stuff work? If you understand the why, we find that people are more interested and engaged in how and the do. So basically, your materials are collected on the curb. They go to a transfer station. A transfer station is sort of like the bus station for waste. Things get separated out into different waste streams. So you have different commodities that are moving to different recyclers. And I'll show you a picture in a second. You have yard debris and food waste that's moving to composters, and your garbage that's going to a landfill. You can see this happening up here. The sorting that happens by people, by machinery, and there's a whole system that's kind of hidden. And I think with a lot of our environmental work, we need to kind of help daylight some of this work so that people understand and see this impact. Your food waste goes to a commercial compost facility. It's hard to see, but imagine, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 football fields and 15-foot tall piles of yard debris, wood chips, and food waste that's on getting air blown through it, and it's helping it heat up really hot, over 160 degrees, which kills weed seeds and turns this food waste and yard debris into this wonderful compost that we can be using within our community. It stays really local. Within an hour or two is where most composters are, and then that compost comes back into our community. Landfilling, these tiny little dots you see here, each one of these dots is a shipping container. And in the Portland metro region, each week we send 600 shipping containers worth of garbage to the landfill. And we bury that in the ground. And that landfill, that waste is not really doing anything. And we have lots of landfill space in eastern Washington, eastern Oregon. So it's not that our landfills are filling up and that's why we need to recycle. It's more like going back to that slide previous. There's all those natural resources that we've buried in the ground instead of using those in a more efficient way or in a better way. Just so you can see, this is a landfill here in eastern Washington, and it's built between 2 buttes. And the idea is that in time it'll kind of become one large butte. So, kind of a word picture here, thinking about things the way we like to think about the Olympics. Everyone loves the Olympics. First place is a big deal. And the more that you're able to practice reduce and think about things in that fashion, the higher and better the impact that you're going to have. And there's lots of examples of this that you could learn from other businesses, or you may be doing, that are this in action. So, lean manufacturing, so finding ways to move things through your business or your facility in the most efficient way as possible. Looking at your trucking that you might be doing. How are you backhauling materials, not sending things with a half-empty container? Efficient route planning. Looking at your work from home days, like how do you find that right balance that meets everybody's needs but can also reduce emissions? Meal planning at home, buying things that are durable. Consignment, Thea. Restore, all these different things that involve resale and the reuse and the further life of things. And then even thinking bigger picture, for example, where we site businesses and how could one business's waste be the input for another business's operations. For example, a lot of businesses generate waste heat, and then there are some businesses that could totally use waste heat to do some of their processes. How can we think about how we build a business park and co-locate those things together? It helps with margins, and it also helps reduce emissions. Recycling, I just kind of placed this here as the biggest things I want to just communicate is that when in doubt, it's okay to throw it out. We find that if people are putting things in the recycling that don't belong, they go a much longer trip eventually to the landfill and they contaminate these commodities. Somebody has to be able to take this waste material and make it into something new. If not, then that commodity decreases in value and it's harder to have it recycled. So there's a lot on this, but I don't want to kind of jump too far into the weeds here. But if you have questions, there's lots of resources that we can help you out with. Highlighting some green businesses here. We've got some in attendance. OnSemi, yeah, right here, Phil. So OnSemi got involved with strategic energy management, has been doing some incredible work there. And they were able to reduce their kilowatt usage in their first year by 7.9 million kilowatts. That's the equivalent, it's the equivalent of driving around Earth 530 times in the average automobile. So this work has really significant impact, and we want to work with our large businesses because them turning the needle this much is like looks a lot of folks turning the needle significantly, and they have a lot of R&D and support, and we want to take that and then take this awesome work and say, heck yeah, let's keep this going in other places, spaces. Delta AV, kind of a medium-sized business, did a lot of work on switching everything to LED. They have a reusable dishware system for all their employees. They use green cleaners. A wonderful childcare facility, TCA Creative Minds. They were seeing that, hey, we don't want to be exposing our kids to chemicals that aren't great. What ways can we be changing that? So they've done stuff with green cleaners. They also do a lot of work in educating their students and with their parents and spreading, amplifying the messaging, which has been fantastic. Safeway Albertsons DC has been doing a lot of work on lean manufacturing processes and then all the other things that you see here. Gresham Ford just recently installed 3 public chargers that are fast chargers. They're level 3, and they've opened them to the public, which is great, and they're sharing that resource to kind of accelerate this work. East County Business Bridge, which is through the Rockwood CDC, has teamed up with the Pollution Prevention Resource Center, done a spray efficiency training. And so these are all just examples where folks are doing really wonderful work. Gresham Barlow School District, Energy Partner of the Year nationally, saved enough energy to keep 11 teaching positions, if I'm remembering correctly, 10 positions. I mean, so this stuff stacks up. So I'm going to kind of wrap it up. In general, we talked about, focusing on reduce. You can take that across all the spectrums of the things that we've talked about. There's programs across the region that help you in this type of work. And then we can connect you in all these resources, and you can bring these ideas home. So that's it for me. I'm happy to answer more questions as we go and after we get done talking and all that kind of stuff.
The next speaker?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. All right, and I'm happy to come to your business, so please give me a call. Next up, we've got George Litsey, I believe. And George is going to be talking to you about the Energy Trust of Oregon, which is a partner that we've worked with significantly, and they've got funding incentives that can help you reduce your energy usage with green appliances on so many different levels. So George, I pass you the stuff.
I'm George Litsey. I'm with the Energy Trust of Oregon, and so our vision here is clean, affordable energy for everyone. That's what our goals are. Is we're just trying to make it to where you all can do these things to make it more energy efficient. You use less energy, which therefore saves money in your pocket, leaves more energy on the grid. As we have more and more electric things, we need to free the grid up. And one of the ways of doing that is this, and it saves money in your pocket. So it's a win-win situation. So our purpose is to help customers and communities reduce costs and realize additional benefits by saving energy and using renewable resources. And when it comes to renewable, we do have solar as one of the options. So that's where the renewable portion of that can come in. Otherwise, it's retrofits and things of that nature so that we can use the same spaces but just use less energy. So this is kind of a map that shows, so to qualify to be to participate in Energy Trust, you need to pay into one of the providers, and the providers that they need to be is you have Portland General Electric, Pacific Power, Northwest Natural, Cascade, and then Avista. And then this breaks down the region of the state showing which ones are receiving which energies. Well, we're concerned in this area up in the Portland area, and they've got everything. So everybody, is either going to be PGE, PAC Power, and then all of the 3 gases. So we really want everybody out here to be able to take advantage because you're paying into this. So again, I'm going to keep saying you're paying in, so I want you to utilize this. Please, one of the ways is by having a site visit or by receiving incentives. We just want you all to be able to utilize what it is you're paying into so that you can benefit. So here's just kind of breakdown of the different sectors. So there is commercial, new construction, and then we got major renovations. This is a 1-866 number that reach out. That department handles those sections. We have industrial and agricultural. That would also include things like production, proficiency, efficiency, and things of that nature. They have their department, which everything would, go to them. We have renewables. You have homes, apartments, condos, and then commercial equipment upgrades and retrofits. That's where the small businesses falls in. That's where I fall in, is right in here. But again, if you reach out to me and it needs to do with any of these other ones, please reach out to me. I will get you in contact with the right person. The worst thing is just not reaching out to us. So please, it doesn't matter if it's not the department that I work in, please reach out to me, let me know, and then I will help get you in contact with the right peoples so that then they can get the information and everything out to you so that then you all could then see what you qualify and to be able to take advantage of. And then all of this, of course, is underneath the Energy Trust of Oregon umbrella. So building an energy efficient projects, first thing is going to start off is systems. Identify energy saving opportunities. So that's where a site visit comes in. That's where someone like myself, Zach, Israel, we can come in and we can look at your site and we can find ways to assist with the retrofits. When it comes to lighting, that's where Jose can come in, and Jose is going to be able to assist you all in the lighting upgrades. So right now, through the end of this year, there's a great lighting program for small businesses and nonprofits and churches where they qualify automatically for a no-cost lighting upgrades. So, this is great information, and even if it's a situation where you just have myself, Zach, or Israel there, if we know that you qualify for the lighting, we can either get you in contact with someone like Jose, or with your blessings, we can even fill that out and get that ball rolling for you. So that's where you would want to get one of us out there. We'll take a look, see what energy opportunities, savings you can qualify for, and then that's when we can provide you with the information on the cash incentives, whether that be on mini splits, insulation. Insulation is one that every brick and mortar can benefit from. And if you've got great insulation, then you're already going to start driving down those energy costs because you're keeping what you want to keep in, you're keeping out what you want to keep out. And it just has amazing benefits, and it's also one of the greatest incentives that we have cash payouts on. So it's one of the ones that can put the smallest burden on your paycheck and still get the greatest benefit from receiving. So insulation is an amazing one. Lighting is another one. It's amazing. Again, it's free. There's other options that are for other size companies that there are costs involved, but for the small businesses that we're concerned about and those nonprofits and churches, they have the direct install. Next is the expert help, referral to qualified technical contractors. That's where it comes in. If you've already got a contractor that you're working with, please continue to work with them. This is an open network. If they have questions, they can reach out to someone like myself, and I can gladly assist them on whatever that question may be, whether it be letting them know if a certain piece of equipment qualifies or helping them fill out the paperwork. Again, we're a resource, and we want to help them just as much as we want to help you all. Because again, they're the boots on the ground. So we work closely with them. So if you've got a contractor that you want to work with, please continue working with. But if you need a referral to one, all you got to do is, I'm gonna ask when I come and do a site visit. I will ask if you've got somebody that you work with. And if you're like, no, then I'll gladly ask, would you like a referral to someone that we know that's already vetted? They're already into trust. They understand how the incentives work. And when it comes to the small businesses and nonprofits and churches, they also understand the real integrity of this program and what it's trying to do. So they're going to try to do their best to keep that cost as minimal as they can on their end. So again, that's just where reaching out to us, again, we're another way that we can be a tool for you all to lean on. So please lean on us. We want to help. We want to provide you all with this information. And the only way we can do it is by you all agreeing to let us come in and see you. You've already paid in. Part of this, when you pay your utility bill, also covers us coming to do a site visit to let you know what you can get on lighting, or to let you know what you can maybe get help on that mini split for. But you're not going to know if you don't reach out and ask us. So please reach out to us. We want to provide this service to you. You're already paying into it. And this is one of the ways that we can provide your monies back to you, is letting us give you this information so that then you know what you can and cannot do when things break. Or if you just want to go ahead and get ahead of the curve and start, putting in something that's energy efficient because you can afford to go that route, then now you know what monies you can get kicked towards that, so then maybe you can continue to do these projects because now you're having assistance on that. And again, we're getting your money back to you. You've paid into this, so please take advantage, please. So many offers that we got for small businesses. So the Energy Trust wants to serve small, independently owned businesses, and we can do this by providing, so we have incentives for energy efficient equipment, and things like that include your HVAC, your water heating, insulation, refrigeration, grocery, and food service equipment. There's also free energy assessments, and then there's the free lighting equipment and installation. And again, these can't be taken advantage of if you don't reach out to us. So please reach out so that we can help see what you qualify for on these. Because these are things, if you're running a business, you're going to be using anyway. And if it's a moving part, moving parts will inherently eventually stop moving. And when it stops moving, that means it's broke. And that means you got to spend money. Well, we all want to spend less money, but we still want to get the best product available. This is a way that you can utilize where you can still get that best product available and make that more affordable so that it makes that decision a little more easy to palate. Because now you know what you can get, what you can receive to make this a reality, and then you can find ways to budget and make that a reality. Smart thermostats. This is another great incentive that we have right now. If it is a non-grocery entity, $400 a smart stat. If it's a grocery, $500 a smart stat. And from what we've kind of seen as just talking with the contractors, once you get about 3 of these needing to be installed, a lot of times it ends up paying for itself. And that also helps because if they're already out there doing one thing, it can just trickle in. They're not going to have to make a second call for this and that. And the smart thermostats bring a lot of benefits. A lot of the benefits that these can do is so it can provide you with programmable scheduling for automated savings. So say somebody comes by, say Tony's always getting cold. So Tony always wants to make things a little bit warmer. But sometimes on a Friday, Tony forgets to bring it back down, and now you're paying for 2 days. That's going to bring that bill up. Well, with these smart stats, that programmable, after about an hour, Tony's going to have to go back and do it again because it's going to revert back to those settings because it wants to save money. It doesn't want to constantly keep things at what you didn't have it set to. Other things is you can customize temperature settings based on these occupancy patterns. You will get information provided to you on these. So you're going to see when's your peak hours, when's your non-peak hours, and then you can really start to customize this based upon the occupancy that you're going to have at these given times. So certain parts of the day you might need it a little cooler because you're going to have more people in the building, whereas other times you can then kick that temperature back up a little bit because you're not going to have as many people in there, so therefore there's not as much body heat. You're not trapping it in with all the great insulation that you just put in, so therefore you can utilize more on the smart thermostat to really dial in those settings. Again, this is money that you can save on your operating costs that then you can divert in other ways that your business can then benefit from. So again, I've already picked, but again, to talk about it again, the valuable data on energy consumption patterns. That's real important if you're really trying to figure out when and what time you're using this. Because then this really lets you know what, I wasn't using it as early in the day as I thought. I can actually kick it in cooling or warming up to 10 instead of 8. So you can really start to hone in on that data. And another great thing is you have remote monitoring capabilities. You can control that while you're away. Let's say you're going to have a bunch of people coming early for a meeting, like say here today. Well, you're coming in, it was a little bit warmer than what you planned on that day, thank you global warming and all of those good stuff. But it's okay, you've got your smartphone, you can reach out, kick that in and make it to a nice temperature so that when we all arrive, it was alleviated because you had these remote capabilities, and plus you were able to receive a nice kickback on this to make it a reality. So now we can start talking about some of the small businesses, and we can do what? Okay. So we're just going to hit the main points. So for a restaurant, a lot of the energy you use is going to be cooking, your refrigeration. So if you can get in more energy efficient cooking material, or your refrigeration. If you can update those EVAP fan motors and things of that nature, right there, you're already reducing over 60% of your costs, which can then be diverted into other funds. And again, main ways to save, you got your insulation, dishwashers, oven, and refrigeration. Insulation is going to be a top way to save no matter what you're looking at. If it's a brick and mortar, if you can get better insulation in there, it'll help you save. Food service and restaurants. A lot of the high energy use per square foot. They use about 5 to 7 times more energy per square foot than the average commercial building. And the Energy Trust can prioritize specialized outreach professionals, standard and custom cash incentives for energy efficiency measures. So if it's not something that's on the prescriptive measure, but we see that it's using a lot of energy, we can try going a custom route to see if it's something that we can assist on that. So next you got lodging. Most of your energy is going to be used on water heating and your HVAC. Those are your two greatest points. Right there is well over 50%. So if you're able to upgrade your water heating or insulate it better or get more energy efficient mini splits in there, you're already able to bring that operating cost down a whole lot. Because again, what's one of the first things you do when you get to a hotel? You kick on either the AC or the heat. It's one of the two. You want to be comfortable. We all want to be comfortable. And it's the same with the pool. We all want to have fun in the pool, but it needs to be a decent temperature so we can enjoy that water. Hospitality. Hotels use a significant portion of their operating costs, bless you, on energy bills. It's estimated to be around 6%. So if you can bring that 6% down, that's a lot. Aging boilers, water heaters, they require a lot of maintenance, and it can just be costly. Not only are they constantly leaking out energy, but then you're spending a lot of money to just keep them running. So you got to find that balance point when it's time to replace it and move on. Grocery stores, refrigeration is going to be their biggest portion. You're using 56% on refrigeration alone, and the next 19% is on HVAC. Again, we want to make sure the refrigerator doors are there. We want to make sure you're insulated in this building. We want to make sure the cooler cases and those anti-sweat heater controls, that will really help with the refrigeration. And these are all things that we have nice incentives on that can help you utilize so that you can keep everything comfortable and still save money. Office space, the biggest one is going to be your HVAC. And then after that, it's going to be your lighting. Again, so that right there, you're looking at 65% basically. If you can insulate this office space so that you're not running the AC or heater as much, you're really going to drop that operating cost down. And if you can get those lighting, if you can get those LEDs in there and get out those halogens, you're going to start seeing dramatic savings right there alone. Again, HVAC, insulation, and lighting. Those are your three big savers on office. Retail, so it's going to be your HVAC and lighting. Because again, you want to be able to see that beautiful product that you're selling, get some LEDs in there, bring that cost down. HVAC, you're running it all the time, get insulation in there. You want people to be comfortable where they're shopping, so get the insulation in there so that you can then not run your HVAC as much, but still have it comfortable so people aren't just running in and running out of your store. They're comfortable, they want to stay, you can then benefit from it, and then they benefit from being in a nice, comfortable spot. This is just some success stories. So Cottage Grove, we did a roof insulation job. It was 23,700 square foot of insulation. Energy Trust provided them $47,300 in cash incentives. From that alone, they were saving $3,900 in estimated annual energy saving costs, which brought their therms saved to $2,200. So that first year alone, they saved over $50,000. They got the $47,300 from us, and then they're saving this on the bill alone. Amazing story for them. The Habitat for Humanity. So again, they needed to keep their space warm in the winter, cool in the summer. We installed 17,500 square foot high efficiency insulation. The project cost $67,000. We gave them $35,000 from the Energy Trust and cash incentives. That's more than 50% of that job right there. We kicked money towards. They're saving an estimated $9,100 a year and 9,000 annual therms saved. So it's a win-win. And here we got Village Market. So we installed a hot food holding cabinet for them. We provided $900 in Energy Trust cash incentives. He's now saving $1,500 a year just off of that one product being done. So even low-hanging fruit can have a lot of savings over just a short period of time. So I just want to thank you for your time and listening to me talk about energy savings and the equipments. You can reach me at glitsey@resourceinnovations.com or at 541-275-1582. That even gets forwarded to my phone 24/7. Please reach out. I just want to help. So don't ever feel like you're bothering me. I don't care what day or time. Let me help you by providing you with this information that you're already invested into. Thank you.
Two amazing presentations. Thank you, guys, for doing that. I'm Chris Walker, PGE Energy Efficiency Outreach. You probably have seen me before. I've been doing this for about 11 years, 12 years now. So what we do is we get our customers connected to Energy Trust programs and incentives, and also our programs and incentives. So a lot of people don't know who the Energy Trusts are. Sorry, Zach.
I'm not offended.
So, but they know who we are because they have to pay us every month. And we originally were funded by the same mechanism that funds the Energy Trust, but now we have our own funding mechanism. So we work with the communities, business communities, help them save energy, stay in business, and thrive. I think that's what I just said. So here's my contact information. I'm Chris Walker. This is my cell number. I've got plenty of cards. If you want a personalized card, I'll sign it for you if you want. And then there's my email. So unlike George, I'm going to just say this once. Just reach out to me, and I will contact you anytime. But just let me know if you need some help. And a lot of times I'm getting you connected with George or with Jose, with Zach too. But there's also things that are PG programs that I can help you with, like renewables and electrification, electric vehicles, charging stations, cool things like that. I can get you connected. There's a lot of funding and special programs. If you're a large, if you're planning a larger installation, then there's bonus incentives for those. So if you're interested in those things, I can get you connected with people I know that are work at PGE. And then obviously what George covered with the trade allies and energy trust trade programs. And these are the programs. I'm just going to kind of skim over this. I should have had that out, but George covered a lot of this, but these are the different programs from the Energy Trust. So there's existing buildings, new construction, multifamily, and industry and ag. And then we have different types of technologies, which George covered with the lots of data there, and so that was impressive. But yeah, there's incentives for all these things for you to take advantage of to help you offset the cost of buying the more efficient technology. Lighting, we have this, so these are examples of fluorescent. You probably haven't seen that before, or maybe you have. This is the oldest fluorescent technology. This is the newer technology, a little skinnier bulb, and now it's LED. We have LEDs that replace those. They bypass the ballast. It's pretty easy to hook up. So there's a lot of great programs with incentives, lighting programs right now from the Energy Trust. One's free, one's a discounted. You get a discount when you purchase the product. So that's awesome. So there's all kinds of applications for LEDs, things that you might not think of: outdoor lighting, high bay lighting. There's lots of great savings with those types of fixtures. Same kind of stuff that George talked about, food equipment. And then there's heat pumps, incentives for rooftop units, water heaters, insulation, like George mentioned. And then this is the free lighting program. It's called the Brighter Business Program. So it's no cost to you. They'll come in, relamp, and replace your fluorescent lights with LED. So that's a great opportunity for small businesses, no cost at all. And then there's certain rules to the program for you to qualify. It can't be a franchise, or can't be someone that owns more than 2 properties. So it's really intended for small business customers to take advantage of. So not to confuse you, but we've got our own thermostat program, which is kind of cool too. It's actually free. So it's running in conjunction with the Energy Trust. We started it, so thank you very much. And but the Energy Trust had to prove that there was energy savings behind it. They found that there was great energy savings behind it, so they're out there funding the thermostat program, because we used to have to charge $60 for installation, and now it's free. So with our super cool PGE program, thermostat program, we will install it for free, and it provides all those cool things that George talked about with the programmability of the thermostat to help you save energy. So we also pay you $60 to participate in a peak time demand. It's a demand response program, so it's kind of the future with saving energy. What it is that we take control of the thermostat for a small period of time, and then we allow it to go a couple degrees warmer. We do this for that during summer events, and then during the winter events we do it for heating. And it's, if you have electric ducted heating or cooling, you qualify for the program. Why we do that is because during peak times, during the summer and winter, there's a high demand for electricity. It stresses out the grid. It causes outages, and we don't normally generate that much power, so we have to purchase extra power on the power market, and that costs more. We have to pass that cost on to our customers, and it can be not as green as we normally like. So our power usually comes from a water source, but we can't guarantee that when we have to buy the extra power. So lots of bad things during those events, but it's actually we've really grown this network. We've got over 1 megawatt of energy peak demand response programs right now. So that's like the equivalent of a power plant. So if everybody's using a lot of power, and we kick that in, it really is a significant shutdown. And so that benefits us, and it also helps us not have to buy expensive power. So if there's times when it's not a huge event, but everybody's using a lot of energy, we can turn that on. We can lower the overall energy and not pass extra costs along to our customers. So it's pretty cool. And it's free. I think I said that. But you have to have a ducted system with electric heat or AC. What is very common is gas heat with electric cooling. So come see me if you want a free thermostat. I'll just throw it at you. And that's it. See, I told you it was short.
You're good.
Thank you.
I don't want to make your other partners look like they're bad. So, come up here, guys, and so questions. Look at your tablets. You all wrote things down, or they're in your whatever. So, a question. Carly, did we get anything new for you or Dan? We've volunteered today, so was there anything, a recharge that you might take advantage of? I'm not putting you on the spot much.
Well, no, actually, we've done so many of those things.
Yeah.
What I would say, like, we just changed out all of our lighting in our Eugene facility and are saving hundreds of dollars per month. That was huge and a lot of energy. So I'm hearing so many good things that we actually took advantage of. So I'll just say, reach out and ask.
Yeah, there you go.
Please.
So we've absolutely taken it. We're a medium company, but we have taken advantage of many incentives that we've been able to.
And I'm sure your employees have recognized that as well. Good
Yeah.
job. So, questions? Come on. Yes, Leslie. Always rely on Leslie.
So in your documentation, I was looking, because you're doing commercial buildings and homes. So I see in homes windows, but we didn't talk anything about windows. So windows are not in commercial, only in residential homes?
Correct.
Okay.
Answer your own question.
The reason for that is it's all dictated on how cost effective the measure is. And since businesses are generally only open a third of the day while homes are heating or cooling 24 hours a day, the cost effectiveness of that is significantly higher when it comes to houses. And it just doesn't math out in the commercial setting.
So, there's always a good reason.
Yes. Thank you,
Somebody
Zach.
doesn't do something. Another
Spot
question.
on.
Oh, somebody wanted to talk and answer?
No, I said he was spot on. That's all I said.
Okay, spot on.
One thing we have seen, like take a look what we have going on here. You have a shade from the awning that we have outside the building here, and then you also have these shades on the window. This faces due west, so I can guarantee that this building gets really hot in the afternoon, but simple measures like this keep this building so much cooler and comfortable for folks. And these are low-tech, low-cost, in theory options, like these types of blinds, for example, or tinting a window on the south or west facing side of your building. Those are some of these like low-hanging gems, I guess you could say, that could really help reduce energy usage.
Good point. Thank you.
Okay, another question. Yes, sir. Wait, speaker.
Do I have to use this microphone?
Yes, because we're recording.
So I got a question. It kind of goes to all of you. What about a greater push for natural air conditioning via trees? I've noticed a lot of problems lately in this region. There's a lot of tree cutting going on in the Gresham area. I've talked to staff at Gresham City Hall, and I understand that there's not a lot of restrictions on homeowners cutting down trees, and particularly in new developments, you would want to put trees in and utilize that benefit of that green air conditioning. How do you guys plan on doing that and utilize that, particularly with climate change? And some of this is directed at our folks at PG&E, because I've seen a number of trees down lately on areas where they're cutting them for power line safety. But is there a way to blend those together to save the trees and maximize what those trees could benefit this region, particularly with climate change combined? Thank you.
Okay, who wants a tree truck question? Go ahead, Greg.
Great question. And so we talked about things on a spectrum, right? Very far into the spectrum was action. So what could we be doing, for example, with the code that the city has that would incentivize people to hang on to the trees that are already existing, or build developments in such a way that we're able to put more trees into places that can help with this natural cooling? Gresham and Multnomah County actually got significant funding from the EPA to do planting of trees, specifically in the Rockwood neighborhood, but also in wider Gresham, because we definitely have parts of town where there might be only 10% tree canopy. North Gresham area, some parts of Rockwood, and we know that in those communities the temperature could be up to 15 degrees hotter on a really hot day. So it has not only the heat impact, but that heat impact has a health impact. So looking at that, and yeah, like simple things like, all right, if we're going to be building buildings here, where are we going to make sure that we have enough space between the sidewalk and the building to actually put a tree of significance that could help? Where could we put them on the south-facing side of the building, the west-facing side of the building, and get those, we call them like magnifying benefits, where you're co-designing a space. So it's really interesting if you like geeking out in terms of like stacking benefits. That's the way that a lot of these systems work, is how can we get multiple benefits, help you save money, help you do all these different types of things that have a multitude of beneficial impacts.
Good question, thank you. Last question. I'm not sure why I'm popping. Okay, one more question? Oh, Phil?
Question, but a comment.
Make it into a question.
Have each of you reached out to the Energy Trust?
There we go.
And the reason for that is, anecdotally, my employees, I hear all the time, oh yeah, we talked to them before and they didn't have a good program for us. It changes every single year with the opportunities that they have. So if you've talked to them before a year or two ago, reach back out because the program changes every single year.
Thank you, sir. You're 100% correct. Some of the incentives stay the same, and sometimes they might offer a little bit more money, sometimes it might be a little bit less, or sometimes there's a whole new incentive on there. So you're spot on. It changes every year. So think of us every year, not even every 2 years. Always think of us before you do anything that uses energy. Reach out to us, because there might be an incentive for it, and if there's not already a standard incentive, there could possibly be a custom one in there. We just need to get in there, gather information, and start asking questions. But that can't start if you don't reach out to us. So thank you. Reach out to us.
Thank you. Can we give them a round of applause for everything they've done? Thank you so much. Great job, guys. And mark this as we survived the Gresham Area Chamber first at the Japanese garden event. So you did that. Okay, don't forget the rebroadcast. The schedules are on the table where Karen is. I want to give a shout out to a couple of people not next month, the month after that. We'll be back here for bonds and bridges. We're going to talk about the Mount Hood Community College bond. We're also going to talk about Burnside Bridge earthquake stuff. So bonds and bridges then, and in October we're going to do the candidate panel. Golf tournament, if you want to save money on the golf tournament, leave here, go to your office and register. Leadership Academy sign-ups coming. Golden Whisk is next week. Carla and Karen, you guys need to introduce yourselves to each other if you haven't talked before. I know of some things that you have in common. Aero Sanitary, Umpqua Bank, Northwest Natural Mountain Community College, Gresham Barlow School District, MetroEast Community Media. I want to thank all of you for your patience today with all the technical stuff that we had to deal with and go through. So go forth, go green, and make a profit.